Awesome. Welcome back to another affiliated podcast. This is with Brett Kaufman joining me, Thomas McMahon. We're live here at, well, I guess it's not live, we're recording it, but we are live at ClickBank's Platinum Summit.
We are
here in beautiful Costa Rica, which if a monkey comes by, we're going to pause the podcast immediately to watch it. But
we need the listeners to know we both have very bad ADHD.
Yeah.
So this may have nothing to do with helping you make money, but mostly pointing out things that are around us.
Yes, in the jungle. It's pretty incredible. But Brett Kaufman, you're a partner at Wellspring Media, which, as you described to me, is a great funnel optimization agency that specializes in copy. And what I love about that is that you've actually worked with a lot of the not high end, I should say, but the high scaling offers in the space and the people in the space. And some of the partners have their own history with some very good brands that they've built and written copy for. Can you tell me, I guess, a quick, let's say a 30-second kind of your background in Wellspring, kind of what brought you there?
Sure. My background, I actually never thought I was going to be an entrepreneur. I worked in bipartisan pro-Israel lobbying for 5 years before joining Wellspring Media.
Oh, wow.
And the best thing about that was both Republicans and Democrats got to yell at me because we just were bipartisan. And my entire job was to get people to cold call people, get them to invest in an idea, which was bringing the US and Israel closer together because a lot of technologies from Israel, medicine, just a lot of shared cooperation that keeps us safe is from there. And I would ask people for gifts between $2,000 to $100,000 first time meeting me. And I realized cold calling sucks. And so I got really good at writing texts and emails. And that allowed me to raise $3 million in 2 years on when I say on my own, meaning from my output, which I was very fortunate of. And then someone was like, that's copywriting. And I'm like, oh. And I was at a nonprofit, and I love AIPAC, my former job. But they're like, you can make more money doing this. I was like, okay, well, I like that idea.
I like money. Yeah.
So we transitioned out.
Yeah. That's a very unique way to come into copywriting. That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's a cool story. And then, so I imagine you've probably seen a lot on that side of the industry, which is a whole, I wouldn't say even industry in our world, a whole different industry. And then coming to the more direct response space. When y'all are working with some of your clients, when they're coming in to have you optimize their copy or write new offers and things like that, what are some of the big blaring problems that you're overcoming? Because the reason why I asked is I want to prep this up for you a little bit, as I imagine that a lot of them have some pretty decent offers to begin with.
Yeah.
So a blaring problem might actually be not that blaring to the common person, or person looking to improve their own. So what kind of things are you seeing? We're like, oh, that's what we need to focus on first.
The biggest problems we see is what the data actually won't tell you. And that's what's the hardest part, because you could have good cold traffic if you're running ads. You could have good click-through rates and technically good sales, but yet it's not at the highest degree. And you might get frustrated. So you fire the media buyer, you fire all these people, and you're like, it's still not working. And that's because when you look at a funnel, if it's not congruent, it's not going to convert. So we have something called the 3 C's: congruent, captivate, and convert. And what congruency is, imagine the first time they meet you from, let's say it's cold traffic in this instance, all the way to some amount in the middle of the funnel, so a landing page, sales page, all the way to emails. If the messaging is off, meaning you're saying one promise here, and in the middle you're saying something completely off, people are so used to getting pitched. They're like, I now don't trust you, therefore I'm not going to buy. But that's not going to show up in the data, because you'll see, look what I bought it for, or excuse me, you look at what my ad cost is, look at my click-through rate. But you're not going to see the highest sales because the congruency is off. You lost trust with the person.
I see. Okay. Because I imagine that would, I can see how that is a common problem, because I know a lot of times you have copywriter A that does the front end funnel. You've got a copywriter doing the creatives on the Facebook ads, whatever you're running traffic on. You've got another email list manager who might have a copywriter who's doing their own copy there. So you might have 3 to 5 different writers and voices. Then you might be split testing other people into there. Right. Yeah. Is that where you see the problem aligns, or does it actually start somewhere else?
So that's one of the biggest problems.
Yeah.
Because the whole idea is like you just said about voice. Voice is everything. We'll take a person we know in common, Vince Monte, a client we're very, very proud of him, incredible person. We were working with him. His funnel's doing great, low 6 figures a month. After working with him, it bumped up to 7 figures.
Wow.
And the main reason why that happened was, again, lack of congruency. Vince, if you ever sit down with Vince, he's very proud of his beliefs. He's very proud of where he's from. But when you watch the content, it didn't show that same passion like you would be speaking to him with at an event. And he's selling a $20,000 mastermind that works so well with a ton of testimonies. But the person didn't feel that connection. So that was the first blaring hole that we had to fix, being like, so I always view it like, if you're watching this VSL, are they having a conversation with you? Would they feel that same passion when they're watching your video or reading your copy? That's always the first thing we address.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. Can you explain maybe where do you see that applicable to, let's say, a offer that doesn't have a face, right? Maybe it's an actor you've portrayed as a doctor or something like that, right? Hopefully a real doctor, but hey, let's call a spade a spade. But how do you see that kind of same tone shift problem happen in those kind of offers?
So there's actually something that I stumbled upon from my days at AIPAC that really helped me close a lot of gifts. And I would, first thing, if we work with a client, I'd be like, give me all your recorded sales calls. And then I go into otter.ai. You can use whatever transcribing one that you want, but I like Otter.
Otter, yeah.
And then I get to literally see the words that the person's using in the video testimony or the recorded sales call as an example. And then I like to print them out because I consume content the best written. And I take 3 highlighters and I'll mark up like hopes and dreams with one color, fears with another color, and like money goal with another color. And then I organize my Google Docs based upon like the patterns that I found. And so let's say you have an offer with not a face, a recognizable face. Well, all right, I'm now trying to build commonalities. And I just have like a long Google Doc of their hopes, dreams, and fears. I start spitting back at them and starting seeing what tests. Like this is my first round of testing because I literally know that if I have somebody that bought once, most likely somebody else like them is going to buy in the future.
Right.
So I just throw it right back at them to a future buyer being like, oh, you're like Johnny. So therefore here's Johnny's hopes and dreams. And if that works, great. We go down that thread. If it doesn't work, look where it was off and adjust the copy from there.
Okay. So instead of looking at the know, like, and trust character like Vince, you're going back into the customer demographic and going, so are you having people get on like Zoom calls to get these testimonials? Like how are you actually kind of structuring that process to kind of, let's say I've got a offer that's done 100K a month or so. Yeah. It's doing okay, but it could do a lot better. We'll say unbranded. It's more direct response offer. Like I haven't collected a lot of testimonials yet. Like where am I going with this process? Like how am I kind of rolling that out?
So first and foremost, you have to get the testimonies. So in that case, if they don't have a lot, what we would do is like go call people, be like, all right, let's go to your list and actually book these calls and talk to these people. Because one thing that drives me insane in the industry when people just like rush through a funnel, like this is your baby. This is what will make or break what you do. So we take the time to really understand it. I don't want to guess. Why guess? There's so many different variables, right? Like attracts like. So we make it a point to get the testimony. And then if we can't do that, our next favorite source to do is go to Amazon reviews, but not 5-star reviews because that person's usually biased. Not 1-star reviews because that person's just like pissed off at the world, but 3-star reviews because that person usually likes something and then doesn't like something. It's the most constructive criticism you can get. And that gives us clues to then know what we need to test.
I love that. Yeah. I live on constructive criticism. I was like, tell me, I'm like, no, just don't tell me it was good. Like, what needs to be better? Like, It's like, right, but, oh, Platinum wasn't great. Okay, but what could be better? Right,
it's like,
exactly. There's got to be something, and there always is. So when you're going through, you're identifying their hopes, dreams, and fears. Are you now taking that into the VSL or TSL or pre-landers and stuff? And like, how are you starting to bridge the gaps of good enough, like copy that's okay to great copy? Like where are you starting to like mesh this? Are you just identifying areas that don't have those pieces?
That's a phenomenal question. What we end up doing is, all right, so now let's say we understand that whole spectrum, like hopes and dreams for them. We think about what's the first win for them. So again, like what's that first hurdle they're trying to overcome
for your customer, potential customer,
right? Yeah. So as an example, let's say it's weight loss. Let's say like I want to get in shape for summer, right? So the idea is my first thing is like I want to first off have the confidence to look good in a bathing suit. So that's the first thing we're throwing out at the beginning of the copy, because again, we need to get one win. I can't get you to go from like, oh, I'm not confident in myself to be like 6-pack in the beginning because you're not going to believe me. But if I'm like, if you use this, you can then feel better about yourself, or you can get this quick win that gets you from the top of the funnel to the middle of the funnel. Then we go a little bit of a deeper win because again, I got you to trust me a little bit. And in trust literally just means clicking through.
Gotcha.
That's trust. And now we do a little bit more of a win in the middle of the funnel, that VSL sales page. And then that trust gets you to the checkout page. Then we need the final trust of like, here's actually how we can do it. And that's where the best testimonies lie. But we have to start it from the top of the funnel and slowly walk around from first win, second win to like, now you're in the home stretch, buy it. And then you will get that 6-pack when you follow everything.
Gotcha. And so you're taking, I imagine throughout all that, you're taking the vernacular that the customers are actually using in these testimonials. You're sprinkling that in even if it's not a testimonial, you're using the words they're using throughout.
Yeah.
You can kind of tell sometimes, right? When it's like say a junior to mid-level copywriter, who might be the bro type who's writing an offer for women over 45. And it's like, it just screams that this is written by a man who doesn't really understand who they're writing for and to. Yeah. And that's always where I see well-meaning offer owners kind of stumble as they go, how do I find a copywriter? How do I even start this process?
Yeah.
And it can be expensive, right? You're going to be paying this high premium with no guarantee of success. And it's like,
we actually, we invite, kind of talk about criticism. We invite all the critique. So when we work with someone, we meet with them, we'll turn in a certain part and we go destroy it. Like just like right now versus waiting till the end of our time together. Cause like the worst thing in the world, you invested in me. We took X amount of weeks to do it. We turn it into you and you go, this sucks. Then we have to do another revision. You're pissed. I'm pissed. Likelihood of retaining us is very low. But if each week I'm like, do you like this? Okay, cool. What don't you like? And then start tweaking it that way.
Yeah.
It solves that entire thing.
How do you work with clients who think they know more than they do?
You be very nice and smile at them. The best thing to do is like respectfully challenge. So if they feel very confident in their offer, that's amazing. We say like, why? So usually you're writing to yourself 2 to 3 years back. So if you are now an expert on the subject, be like, put yourself back in those shoes when you were miserable or whatever that problem you're trying to solve. Talk about that person. And what I like about that is usually when someone is a little bit more that way, their testimonies give you all the answers, because the nice thing is when they're serving their clients, like, you can feel them in a certain way. They generally like want to help, and that you see them more raw and authentic. But being able to challenge them and say, why do you believe that? How did you feel a few years ago? What was in your mind? And a lot of these people, this is the question you have to ask: did you have a journal? Like did you take any notes anywhere? Because like, for example, I was super depressed in college for a certain period of time, and I journaled, so I can read my journals and be like, oh, okay, I understood what Brett felt like in 2014.
Right.
And so I got to it's literally like being able to kind of interview myself, get to read my own thoughts. So I always ask that question.
So you're collecting all those potential resources that aren't just sales, copy, or testimonials, but actually from that avatar or that person. Okay. That's really cool.
Yeah.
And so you're working, I wasn't intending to go this way, but I'd love to actually go into, because I think what you offer with Wellspring is, I haven't come across an agency like you before that operates the way you do. I think it'd be really valuable for the listeners here who might need copy help to understand kind of how you operate and why that's different than finding copywriter A, B, or C that they might just go directly to. So let's pretend I'm a potential client potentially. I guess first, I'd love for you to qualify me a little bit. Like, what is the right type of business level and like person for you to work with Wellspring?
So that's also a great question. We love to help everyone. We can't always help everyone.
Yeah.
So we have different packages. Like we have our captivating copywriting course that, thank God, is an amazing. We're so proud of it. So people can buy the course on their own and learn everything. We joke it's a Lord of the Rings of courses because it's super long, but very entertaining. And you get to see our COVID hair because we all did not have haircuts during this time period. We also have consulting, and that's more if the person is like, they either have a copywriter on staff or they themselves want to get, their hands on the keys, and we'll consult them. And then there's, of course, a done for you. Now, our favorite people to work with on the done for you side, they're generally already doing like high 5 to 6 figures a month.
Okay.
Meaning they have their media buyer. So they already have like their team in place. And like we were talking about earlier, things are going good, but not great. Good to not great is how like Vince had that leap, and how like we've had a lot of other successes, like Tony Casandrinos, who soon to be coming on ClickBank, amazing guy. We're able to 6x his email revenue because things were going good, not great. So for us, the client already is doing good a month. And what we end up doing is they already have a lot of data. So what we love doing is split testing everything.
So yeah, I guess when you look at 5 to 6 figures a month, is there like a certain how long of that time period would you want to have that for? Is that someone who's done that for a year, 2 years, 6 months? Is that
minimum a quarter?
minimum
right?
a quarter? Okay, yeah.
And then above that, and that's for the done for you side. Like consulting,
sure.
we're
Yeah.
always happy because we also have a phenomenal junior copywriter. She's incredible. And so what I like about us is we don't outsource anything. So there's 3.5 of us. And so sometimes if we quote unquote outsource, we're having somebody else do part of it, but we're always overseeing all of it. To humble brag about my team, John, who you know, John Romanello, he's a New York Times bestselling author, and Yogev is a brilliant writer himself. So what we love about our process is like you're getting phenomenal writing and then also phenomenal marketers understanding funnels. That's a unique combination that we haven't seen out there because you're getting world-class book writing, style writing, and then of course understanding how to optimize.
That makes sense. I'd love to, because gosh, for people listening to this podcast, one of the biggest questions I get when I'm chatting with people interested in coming on to ClickBank and we start peeling back their business, and it's like, well, okay, it's like this might work, but for you to have real success with affiliates, you're gonna have to tool up this, or this. They either need a really good affiliate manager to come on and actually do the networking and biz dev for them because they don't want to do it, or they need copywriting and copywriter help. And so that's the main questions we get. Is like, do you know any good copywriters? Do you know good affiliate managers? And the part I always struggle with those questions is that there's a ton of copywriters now. Like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, it was like hard to find copywriters. Now, thanks to some friends in the industry who have spread up these courses, there's tons of copywriters. And the hard part is when you ask someone, do you know any good copywriters? Answer is yes. What I don't know is their bandwidth. What I don't know is their last at bats, like kind of their review. So it's like for me to go out and make 6 introductions to copywriters takes weeks to do, right? So that's where I love to lean on people like you, where it's like, hey, you should talk to Brett, right? If you're interested in this. What I'm curious about, can you take me through if I'm at that level and just like, okay, yeah, it sounds like I should talk to Brett. What does that process look like? You mentioned kind of that a little bit, but can you just take me through like, hey, I've got this offer. I want to tool it up. Let's just go through that journey a little bit, maybe.
Sure.
I should say, I don't expect you to throw out pricing because I know this is all pretty variable when it comes to copywriting work and probably depends on a lot of factors, but let's just pretend I'm good with what you've got and let's go through that. Yeah.
Sure. So just a little bit of background that people don't know us. We've been around for over a decade doing this. We've generated over 45 million for our clients, written for anyone from like Under Armour, Reebok, Adidas, BioTrust, like big names in this space. We're very proud of that. So it's not our first rodeo. And at the stage we're at, we're not looking for like one night stand projects anymore. We're looking for like partners so we can optimize the entire funnel and stay on to continue optimizing. And the way our process works, and one of the reasons why I believe we're so successful is like, let's say a project takes between 6 to 8 weeks because it's a lot of different things. We're meeting with you once a week and showing you our work. And so you literally get to know as we're building it out if you like it or don't like it. And then the 3 of us are on almost every call, and we have such different brains when it comes to it. I have the sales background from fundraising and politics. Yogev is extremely good at crafting offers, and John, he's a professional storyteller. He travels around the country telling stories. So the uniqueness of our skill set, which is why we're like on paper, yes, we're copywriters, but like we're funnel optimizers. And our way our process works is that people usually pay us a retainer, and then we do rev share. Because again, we want to always prove ourselves. And number 2, we want long-term, easy win yeses with you. It's not like, pay us a ton of money, see you later, never talk to you again. We hate that. So all of our done for you work has like guarantees to it. And we're basically trying to be like, you can put a ring on it. Like let's have this conversation because we want long-term partners versus like, that was fun, one project, see you later.
Yeah, I'll imagine too for your type of business, you build in stability. There's less you're not churning as much,
fun.
Right? Yeah, I totally get that. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. So you're working. Can you work with people who are just like, hey, so a common example, right? E-commerce seller, brand or something like that. They want to move in direct response, but they don't necessarily have an offer. They've got brand and products. They might be doing the volume you're talking about on a revenue basis, but I want to break into affiliates. I want to break into direct response. Like, can you help someone craft from 0 to X, or do you need like an offer to be working with? Like, do you need an existing offer to work on?
if they have the existing offer, obviously that's a little bit easier, but
Sure.
they don't need to have it.
Okay.
Because the idea is we also help build out the entire funnel. Usually that person has someone on their team, but we have like people we trust and like we work with to do that side. The idea is that if they already know their product is good and they have it tested, like we can then help build out the rest of it. It's all about knowing like what's their goals and how quickly they want to scale up.
Yeah.
And that's easy to do.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, because that's. Sorry, I'm kind of like just qualifying you for myself because I need more people like you to send people to. Oh man, but no, like I think you've got a great thing going and a big need that when I chat with sellers who are trying to find copywriters, you seem to solve for a lot of those frustration points. And not to disparage any specific copywriter, right? There's amazing copywriters out there that people can go find them and get referrals for people. But I think you do serve a very important part of that market, which is a trusted place to go to with those types of guarantees, with that type of structure and onboarding process. And you deliver on time with deliverables, right? Yeah.
I'm my team hates me because I'm always yelling at everyone respectfully to get everything done, and they yell at me back. So it's like we always, because making sure the work is done is the most important thing to the client. They're beyond satisfied. And we also say like when you're looking for someone, I say don't actually look for a copywriter, find a communication expert, because the main difference we found through so many trial and errors, copywriter, it's like they need direction. I need you to write this. We do the entire strategy for the funnel, the entire optimization. And then we look at it and say, you know what? All right, you need your initial like facelift of everything, but based on your data, you need this type of email campaign or this type of follow-up sequence, because the data tells us. And since we have experience scaling low ticket all the way to high tickets, like high up masterminds, we have that expertise versus just, you don't need to tell us what to do. Like, of course, it's a collaboration. The idea is like, we can come into your funnel and say, all right, here's what we need to think we need to optimize. Here's a solution for it. Does that sound good? And then we just go off and do it and show you everything.
Gotcha. Well, that's awesome, man. Is there any, I guess if someone's listening to this podcast or a family of ClickBank kind of thing, like what's the best way for them to get in touch with you and see if you're a good fit for them?
Yeah, so first off, ClickBank is awesome. Totally be a part of this family. It's great. The best way is to, right now, there's two mechanisms. We're about to finish our website and then you can opt in. But on Facebook, follow me or friend me at Brett, B-R-E-T-T, Kaufman, K-A-U-F-M-A-N, or Instagram, Brett, B-R-E-T-T .Kaufman, K-A-U-F-M-A-N 26. Do that, because then when we have the website, we'll be able to put you into the newsletter, so you can always know up to date on what we're working on.
Let's pretend this goes live and the website's up. What's the URL that you'll have there, or is it still up in the air?
I believe it'll be wellspringmedia.com.
Perfect.
Yeah, and if it changes, I'll let you know.
Yeah.
So sorry in advance if it's the wrong one.
No, we'll put links in the bio and all that, and we'll have our integration partner pages stood up and things like that. So we'll make sure people can get in touch with you as they need to. So
works for me.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Brett. Any final parting words before we wrap up and go get some cocktails and dinner here in Costa Rica?
This has just been one of the coolest experiences. So you're the man. I'm so glad that we're able. So everyone that's listening too, because we share the story a bunch. The first time we met was the most incoherent conversation we've ever had.
Yeah,
with you with COVID brain and me being sick. So how far we've come being able to talk on a podcast is without any distractions, looking out at beautiful Costa Rica. Look at us. We've done
come so far. Awesome.
So thank you.
Yeah, well, thanks, Brett. No, this has been great. And yeah, I'm excited for people to learn more about what you're doing, because I think you can bring a lot of value to our ClickBank family here.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Cool. Thank you.
Happy scaling, everybody.
Woo.
Cheers.